What's up, guys? My name is Ryan, and this is the Kingsman Report. It's the news everyone ignores. Today is Sunday, the 24th of November, 2019. And today, as you can see in the thumbnail there, I'm going to talk about a reanimated human being. It's the first time scientists claim that they've frozen a human being and brought them back to life. I also have a story on could a 1 millimeter black hole devour the Earth? And then I have a whole lot of other stuff. Some of it weird, some of it gross. And then, of course, I'm going to cover the two food recalls because of, its importance right now. So stay tuned. If you're tuning in for the first time, I appreciate it. If you're listening to this, you can also watch this on during the week at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. I take Saturdays off, and then I am back on Sundays. So stay tuned, and I will get right back here in a moment. Alright, guys, what's up? If you're just tuning in, or you've never listened to the podcast, or if you've never listened to or tuned into one of the videos, I go through and I read a bunch of news articles that I find interesting. Some of them are strange, some of them are nasty sometimes. And some of them are just stuff people need to hear in case they ignore the mainstream media, because a lot of people aren't necessarily paying attention to it anymore. So I just read different articles from all over the world. And also, if you want to, there is a chat running, and you can chat, and it'll pop up in the underneath the window on the screen right there. And there's also a phone number if you want to call in, and the number is 1-408-638-0968, and enter 534-233-4758, and that will bring you to me, and then I'll cut out and monitor the phone calls. If you want to talk about any of these articles, if you have any articles that you want to talk about, then you can send me articles to kingsmanreport2019@gmail.com, and we can talk about those articles as well. So if you look on your screen there, the first article I want to talk about is a pork recall says 500,000 pounds of raw pork products produced in past 2 years weren't inspected. So this article says, and this is from Fox 23 News. This is our local news station here, one of our local news stations here in Oklahoma. But it says, have you bought raw pork in the past 2 years? You better check your freezer. It says, according to CNN, Illinois-based Morris Meat Packing has issued a recall for more than 500,000 pounds of raw pork that inspectors never checked. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Safety and Inspection Service said in a news release on Friday. It says the company produced the raw intact items labeled with establishment number 18267 beginning November 25th, 2017. They continue to be produced on Saturday through November 9, 2019, and were shipped to distributors and retail locations in Illinois, according to FSIS. The problem was discovered when FSIS received an anonymous tip that the firm was producing products without the benefit of inspection. The agency said in a release, adding it has not received any reports of illness associated with the items. So that's the gist of it. And then down here at the bottom it says, for more information, call Morris Meat Packing, and there's a phone number there, 708-865-8566. I would definitely, toss this out if you have it, but my advice to everybody is, try to eat differently. That is not pork is not good for you, and I know I may get crap for saying that, but there's a whole bunch of studies on why pork isn't good for you, aside from trichinosis, high cholesterol, and things like that. So here's another recall. So if you're having romaine lettuce salad with your pork chops that are expired or that weren't inspected, well, now there's a recall on romaine lettuce. It says, Consumer Report experts advise, do not eat romaine lettuce. It says the FDA announced that it is likely the source of an E. coli outbreak, and CR says consumers should not take any chances. It says, Consumer Reports food safety experts said Friday that people should avoid all romaine lettuce and that any currently in refrigerators should be immediately thrown out because of the risk of E. coli contamination. The Food and Drug Administration announced Friday that romaine lettuce grown in Salinas, California is likely responsible for a multi-state E. coli 0157H7 outbreak that was first reported earlier this week. It says, on Friday, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention said the number of illnesses has risen to 40 people in 16 states, and of those reported infected, 28 have been hospitalized, but there were 0 reported deaths. It says the states involved are Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. So, if you guys live in any of these states and have any romaine lettuce, I would toss it out along with your spoiled pork chops. Alright, so as you saw in the thumbnail there, I will talk about the animated the reanimated human being. I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to go through a bunch of just little weird stuff. This right here, it says secret documents reveal how China mass detention camps work. And so apparently these documents were leaked out by people in the press, and China is refuting the papers and saying that they were untrue. And I'm not going to read all of this, but all the links to the articles that I read are posted in the description, so you can go through there and look them up and read them for yourselves. But it's just crazy here. So they pretty much, I guess we would call it kidnapping in this country, but they pretty much kidnap anyone that's not, part of their culture. And they throw them into these concentration camps where these people have gone through detail of, the type of treatment that they received. And they talk a lot about having to learn the language of the culture, adapting to the culture, and it's just crazy. And all of this in the name of, getting rid of the influence of Islamic extremism in their culture. So they lock up. They're called Uyghurs, and all types of people. They make them trim their beards. They totally make them change from the culture in which they came from in order to better fit in society here. So if you guys want to read this, it's pretty insane. Some of the treatments, one gentleman goes into detail and says that he was waiting to actually leave, and just because he was a resident in another place in the area, he was arrested because to them they're seen as, I guess an enemy. And some people said that they'd never done anything, and it was just because of where they were, they have Kazakhs that they've locked up, from Kazakhstan, and they have people from all over the place. And this one guy says it wasn't education, it was punishment. He said he was held for a month and he was treated like an animal. But it says who gets rounded up. You can go through all this stuff, and the guy completely refutes all of this and says that it was made up and that they put it out into the news to make them look bad. But from the experiences that these people talk about in their interviews, they call it education and training, but these people are saying it was anything but. It goes into detail what happens there. And it's also, they can get rid of it. It said, this guy at the end says, I never committed a crime. I've never done anything wrong. He says it was beyond comprehension why they put me in there. So this is what kind of happens over in a communist regime. And these people don't have the freedoms that we have in our country here. And, I don't know what to say about that. It's just insane that people are put through that type of stuff. But this is really, I cover a lot of the Hong Kong protest. I've covered the protest in Chile, Hong Kong, Iran, everywhere. I've streamed them, I've talked about them, I've posted articles about them. And this one is it seems like it's a little bit of a change of pace here for the people in Hong Kong, hopefully. And if some of these votes go through and some of the candidates that they want to see being brought up in their democracy get a chance to run, then maybe the protest might stop. But you got to look who controls it, and if that would ever be. I just read a whole thing there about what they do to people in concentration camps. And in a couple videos before, I talked about pictures that were released on Twitter of people that were involved in the protest that were being shipped off on trains on their train station there, and people were fearing that they were being brought to China, and they were probably being brought to China to go to concentration camps, kind of like the ones there. So this goes on. It says the article is pro-democracy candidates advance in key Hong Kong elections, and it says pro-democracy candidates won nearly half of the seats in Hong Kong's local elections, according to partial returns Monday, as voters sent a clear signal of support for the anti-government protests that rocked the Chinese territory for more than 5 months. It says a record of 71% of the city's 4.1 million registered voters cast ballots Sunday, well exceeding the 47% turnout in the same election 4 years ago. It says so far pro-democracy candidates have won 201 out of 452 seats in 18 district councils. Previously, the bloc had fewer than a third of the seats. It says among the winners were former student leaders and candidate who replaced prominent activist Joshua Wong, the only person barred from running in the election. Rally organizer Jimmy Sham, who was beaten by hammer-wielding assailants last month, also triumphed, and as did a pro-democracy lawmaker who had part of his ear bitten off by an assailant. And if you guys haven't been watching this, you know, the protesters had taken over a college there. They were armed with bow and arrows. They were armed with Molotov cocktails, and they're fighting for their freedom. You know, they're afraid that what little bit of traditions they have there and a way of life they have there is going to be trampled on and taken over by the Chinese government in their territory. Although, you know, China took control of Hong Kong from Great Britain in, I think it was 1997. So it seems to be that they are at least trying to fight for what they have left. But you can go through this article and you can read. I hope you know that this is a way out. Lamb said in this, she said, I hope that the election will show that everyone doesn't want Hong Kong to return to the chaos again, that we want a way out of this crisis so that we can have a fresh start. So hopefully they will get that fresh start that they're looking for. You know, I pray for these people. I don't know them, but it's crazy. And then old Israelis. Israel's back at it again in the news, of course. That's a pretty rad looking jet there. It says Israel demolished Iranian Republic Guard Corps headquarters in Syria in retaliation for rocket attack. So it says on November 19th, 4 unguided artillery rockets arched out of the Syrian territory into Israel airspace in northern Galilee in the Golan Heights, and these were detected and promptly destroyed by Israel's Iron Dome air defense system. What prompted this ineffectual attack on Iranian forces? It says, like the Ouroboros, the snake that is forever preoccupied devouring its own tail, the side show war between Israel and Iranian forces in Syria seemingly stretches out into an infinite series of violent affronts repaid in kind. Since 2013, Iran has built up a military presence in Syria, not only to combat rebels opposing the Syrian government under Bashar al-Assad, but to build up a military infrastructure that could pressure Israel, including by transferring arms to proxies like Hezbollah. Over that same period of time, Israel has retaliated with hundreds of airstrikes blasting the Iranian bases. For example, in August, Israel warplanes killed 2 people in an attack described as preempting a scheme to deploy a swarm of drones to attack targets in Israel. Several commentators have connected the November 19th rocket attack as being response to Israel's assassinated Baha Abu al-Attah, the commander of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, with a surprise airstrike in Gaza on November 12th. The same day, Syria reported missile attacks on the home of another PIL leader living in Damascus named Akram. These names are so hard. Al-Jouri, killing his son and one bystander. Palestinians then responded by launching hundreds of rockets at Israeli targets, and the IDF retaliated against that with more airstrikes and a surge of fighting that lasted for 2 days. It says the most prominent target struck was a huge 70-story building dubbed the Glass House at Damascus International Airport, used for years as command and control center for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps forces in Syria. The large-scale intervention Quad Force and the Hezbollah fighters in Syria in 2013 undoubtedly saved Bashar al-Assad's government, well before Russia's intervention secured its position in 2015. So if you guys want to read more into this, I talk about it all the time also, that they are using the Middle East over there to open up trade routes from Asia through the Middle East, and they've also signed the Asia Trade Agreement. So they're doing a bunch of stuff over there, and as it seems, you know, they've been, this group and the other group have been having a beef for longer than you and I have been alive. So I'm gonna start, for one, by saying this. So doesn't that look good? No, it doesn't. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm showing a picture of the meals that are served at Kanye West Sunday service. So I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, and people get upset all the time, but I say all the time, anyone that sells the gospel for a profit is a fraud. And you know, that is a gift that's freely given, and it's a gift that should be freely received. And you shouldn't be, you know, I understand you're already rich. I understand, you know, keeping the lights on in a church, stuff like that. But selling tickets like you're going to a concert is, to me, it's ridiculous. But it says, guess how much Kanye West overcharges for Sunday brunch? Essentially, prison food served in church. So it says, move over Joel Osteen. Kanye West is the newest televangelist to make money off the blood of Christ. In addition to charging rock concert-like tickets fees for his appearances at Joel Osteen's Houston megachurch, West also recently made news for charging $55 a plate at a Sunday brunch for this garbage, guys. $55 for that. A little measly piece of sausage, whatever, you know, 2 scraggly pieces of bacon and some nasty looking flapjacks. I just use the word flapjacks because I think it sounds funny. But it says, according to those who ate it, said the plate consisted of lukewarm pancakes and floppy bacon. Now, anyone who has ever been to a church-sponsored Sunday brunch can tell you that's pretty much the usual fare at those things, and the only difference is most churches don't charge $55 for it. It says, but West, a born-again Christian, isn't going to let such things as morals, compassion, and empathy stand in his way of monopolizing Christianity and turning it into even more of a business than it already is. It says, what's that part in the Bible where Jesus flipped over the table of the coin counters? It says, forget the Crusades. Something tells me that the Lord of Lords wouldn't be psyched about his name being attacked to such a crappy brunch fare. It says another word there, and I'm not gonna, I have a whole, you know, wide variety of people that listen to this, but I wouldn't pay $55 for that. I wouldn't feed that to my dog. I wouldn't eat it, period. But there you go. $55. I don't even know how much the tickets are. Some people were saying, I mean, they're outrageous from what I understand, but you're basically paying to go see Kanye West in concert. I mean, if you're a Kanye West fan, to each their own, but to me, that's, you know, selling the gospel for a profit, and I think it's ridiculous. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this truck, and you know, I've been saying for a long time that I want to get a Tesla. They're reasonably priced, but I live in Oklahoma, so I don't foresee that in the near future, but I would love to have one. But if you haven't seen the truck, I mean, look at this thing. There's no curves on it. It's all angled. It looks like an armored tank. You can go watch all the videos on YouTube about it, and you know, the test drives that were taken. it looks pretty rad as far as the design of it. You know, it's made out of solid steel. It's insane. It looks like something, well, a modified something that would be in you know, an end of the world movie. But it's pretty crazy. I think even they called the glass clear steel, and then at the reveal they took a huge ball and threw it at the driver's side front and back window, and the ball busted through the glass. Well, it didn't go through the glass, but it hit the glass and spiderwebbed it and left a huge indentation on it. But it says Elon Musk announced 146,000 Tesla Cybertrucks have been pre-ordered in just 2 days. So it says yesterday, just 2 days after the unveiling of Tesla's Cybertruck, the automaker founder Elon Musk tweeted that the company had already sold 146,000 vehicles via pre-order. And because these reservations require $100 USD, which I thought was pretty crazy, you just put $100 down and it holds it until it's, you know, close to release, and then you pay the rest. But I mean, $100 refundable deposit, put that down just to hold your spot for one. That's not bad at all. It says Tesla has tallied 14.6 million USD in 48 hours. Of course, there is no telling how many drivers will actually go through with the purchase of the Angular electric truck, whose price ranges from $39,900 USD to $69,900 USD. But it should bring a bit of optimism to the often scrutinized company. It says the Cybertruck has been met with a lot of skepticism and polarizing thoughts, many for it and many against it, with a large number of Wall Street analysts among the latter. However, with the amount of interest in the obscure-looking car, evident by the aforementioned pre-sale numbers, it may be safe to say Musk has another hit among his loyal followers, safer than the truck glass, that is. As I mentioned, you know, the glass, it didn't bust all the way through, but it busted. And then the interior, one thing I think is awkward about it, the interior has a, like, it looks like a marble countertop. It looks weird to me. That part looks weird. It still has the same computer screen as all the Tesla models, but it has some cool features. So it has like a rail slide cover for the back bed of the truck, so it slides like a door over the bed of the truck. It also has what he says you can tap into the pneumatic air system, and then you have an air supply. He also said you can get that slide, or they're going to manufacture it where you can get the slide where it is a solar panel, and it'll give you like an extra 15 miles to a charge. It's got a bunch of cool add-ons to it. And it also, like, if you have an electrical or an electric powered four-wheeler, which they had at this unveiling, they drove it up in the back of the car or the back of the truck, and you can plug it in, and you can also charge electric vehicles or whatever you may have in the bed of the truck, which I also thought that was pretty genius for the idea of it. So, you know, I sometimes talk about cryptocurrency on here. This one is pretty funny. Excuse me. But this one says Crypto Queen, how this woman scammed the world and then vanished. So, like I always tell everybody, anytime you invest in cryptocurrency, anytime you invest in the stock market, you're taking a risk. Well, apparently, the people she ripped off took a huge risk, and she just disappeared with all the money. And I mean, some of the people she ripped off, I wouldn't want to make those people my enemy. But, you know, this genius here, she did it. And this, she looks nothing like this picture, which just shows a picture over here later on, but she's not a looker, is what I'm trying to say. So Ruha Ingatova called herself the Crypto Queen. She told people she had invented a cryptocurrency to rival Bitcoin, which, if you guys haven't been watching Bitcoin, it's gone down, like dramatically dropped. It was at 10,000, and I think it went to like 7,000. Last time I checked today, it was like 6.5. I don't know what's going on with it, but I play with it, but I don't invest a lot of money in it. Anyways, says she told people she invented a cryptocurrency to rival Bitcoin and persuaded them to invest billions, not millions, but billions. Okay, and then 2 years ago she disappeared. Jamie Bartlett spent months investigating how she did it for the Missing Crypto Queen podcast and trying to figure out where she's hiding. It says in early June 2016, a 36-year-old businesswoman called Dr. Ruha Ingatova walked on stage at Wembley Arena in front of thousands of adoring fans, and it says she was dressed as usual in an expensive ball gown, wearing long diamond earrings and a bright red lipstick. She told the cheering crowd that OneCoin, which I haven't even heard of OneCoin. OneCoin was on course to become the world's biggest cryptocurrency for everyone to make payments everywhere. So I guess this was a thing, and she totally ripped some folks off. But it says Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency and it's still the biggest and best known. Where was I at? Sorry, I got sidetracked there for a second. So Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency and still the biggest and best known. Its rise in value from a few cents to $100 per coin by mid-2016 had given rise to a frenzy of excitement among investors. Cryptocurrency as an idea was just entering the mainstream. Lots of people were looking to get involved in this strange new opportunity. OneCoin, Dr. Ruha told a Wembley audience, was the, quote, Bitcoin killer. In 2 years, nobody will speak about Bitcoin anymore, she shouted. Well, apparently in 2 years they didn't talk about OneCoin either, because she scammed the folks and took them for billions. Wait till you see who she ripped off. I wouldn't want these people after me. It says all over the world, people are already investing their savings into OneCoin, hoping to be part of this new revolution. Documents leaked to the BBC show that British people spent 30 million euros on OneCoin in the first 6 months of 2016. 2 million euros of it in a single week. And the rate of investment could have increased after the Wembley extravaganza. Between August 2014 and March 2017, more than 4 billion euro was invested in dozens of countries, from Pakistan to Brazil, from Hong Kong to Norway, and from Canada to Yemen, even Palestine, however you pronounce it. I'm from Oklahoma. I pronounce words a little different. Investment in OneCoin. This is the charts from selected countries January through June 2016. Look at this, man. She ripped off the people in China, Germany, UK, US. People in Hong Kong weren't so gullible, but people in China, man, they got it right there. But there was something very important these investors didn't know. Said to explain this, I need to first explain briefly how a cryptocurrency actually works. So this goes into how it works. And it says for a long time people have tried to create a form of digital money independent of state-backed currencies, but they have always failed because no one could trust them. They would always need someone in charge who could manipulate the supply, and forgery was too easy. See, there she is there. So like I said, the picture at the top doesn't look much like her. It said the reason so many were excited by Bitcoin is that it solves that problem. It depends upon a special type of database called a blockchain, which is like a huge book one that Bitcoin owners have independent but identical copies of. Every time a Bitcoin is sent from me to someone else, a record of that transaction goes into everyone's book. Nobody, not banks, not government, or the person who invents it, is in charge or can change it. There is some very clever math behind all of this, but this means that Bitcoins can't be faked, and they can't be hacked, and can't be double spent. No, but people can, and they do, hack the wallets. I've covered multiple hacks of as of last week. There was even a scheme that went on, and a bunch of dudes were arrested, and they had to pay back what they had stolen. They may not be able to change the Bitcoin, but if your phone can be hacked, your home computer can be hacked through key logging, ransomware, whatever it is, they can get your wallet, and then they can, send stuff to themselves. They can do whatever they want. As I always tell everybody, be careful with your information, store your passwords safely, and, be careful of making stupid investments like these people did. So it says, I tested this explanation on my mother, the family technophobe, and she told me I failed to make it clear enough and should start again. So don't worry too much if you don't follow it either. It says the key point is that these special blockchain databases are what make cryptocurrencies like blockchain work. For its fans, this is a revolutionary new form of currency with the potential to sideline the banks and national currencies and provide banking for anyone with a mobile phone. And if you get in early, there's a chance to make a fortune. So there's the quarterly revenue for this company, and that's by euro, so 800 million euros, and that quarter 3 2016. So it looks like they were investing some bank in this, but it says their genius was to take all of this and sell the idea to the masses. But there was something wrong. It said in early October 2016, 4 months after Dr. Ruhas's London appearance, a blockchain expert called Bjorn Bergek was called by a recruitment agent with a curious job offer. A cryptocurrency startup from Bulgaria was looking for a chief technical officer. The gentleman would get an apartment and a car and an attractive annual salary of $250,000. I'm not sure what that is. It says, I was thinking, what is my job going to be? What are these things that I'm going to have to do with this company, he recalls. And he said, well, first of all, they needed a blockchain. They don't have a blockchain today. He said, what? You told me it was a cryptocurrency company. The agent replied, this was correct. It was a cryptocurrency company, and it had been running for a while, but it didn't have a blockchain, so we need to build a blockchain. It said, what's the name of the company? Asked the gentleman. It says, it's called OneCoin. He didn't take the job. So this says Jen McAdams' tycoon package. It says one spring day, a few months later, Jen McAdam received a message from a friend about an unmissable investment opportunity. It says sitting at her computer the last weekend, clicked on a link and joined a OneCoin webinar. It says over the next hour or so, she listened carefully to people talking enthusiastically about the exciting new cryptocurrency, how it could transform her fortunes, all of them new, very up-tempo, full of beans, full of passion, she remembers. You are lucky that you are seeing this webinar right now, she was told. You are at such an early stage, and it's just going to be like Bitcoin. It's going to be bigger. The webinar host talked about Dr. Ruhas's glittering background, Oxford University, a PhD from Constance, and stint with the respected management consultancy McKinsey & Company. A speech Dr. Ruha had given at the conference hosted by The Economist magazine was shown, and that's what clinched it for McAdam. It said that ticket a box, and the power of the woman, well done. I felt proud of her. So there's the website there. So it goes on to say she invested a bunch of her money, and then there's a video here. Tim Curry was actually in that video. So here's where the part where she disappears. It says, although Jim McAdam had now seen the light, few other OneCoin investors had Dr. Ruas. It says Dr. Ruas was still traveling the world to sell her vision, hopping from Macau and Dubai to Singapore, filling out arenas, pulling in new investors. OneCoin was still growing fast, and Dr. Ruha was starting to spend her new fortune buying multi-million-dollar properties in the Bulgarian capital, Sofia, and the Black Sea resort of Sozopol. In her downtime, she would throw parties on her luxurious yacht, the Divina. At one in July 2017, the American pop star Bebe Rexha performed a private set. So if you guys are interested in this, I just thought it was crazy, and you know, I share these because I always tell people to be careful what you invest your money in, and if you think that you become a victim of fraud or a scheme like this, then you know, do what you got to do to get your money back. But people are scandalous. Now, had I gotten Bitcoin early when it started, it would have been great, but now it's gotten ridiculous. So if you looked at the here, I'll show it to you guys here. If you look at the thumbnail there, that's, I didn't want to put like a black hole on there. I kind of colored it a little bit, but because I mean the other ones were just, all the ones I could find were just kind of daunting and obviously black, but so I put that colorful one in there, and then you can see the frozen dude that's kind of fallen into it. But this says scientists warn of how a 1 millimeter, get this, 1 millimeter black hole could destroy Earth. So it says an astrophysicist described what would happen if a black hole that's only 1 millimeter wide suddenly appears on Earth. According to the scientist, the black hole's gravitational pull would still completely tear Earth apart despite its tiny size. Black holes are some of the most powerful forces in space due to the immense gravitational force they exert. They are oftentimes regarded as one of the most dangerous cosmic threats that can destroy Earth in an instant. Excuse me. Recently, a scientific discussion on Quora explored the possibility of a black hole existing on Earth. In this kind of scenario, the discussion focused on a tiny black hole that's only a millimeter wide. According to Hassan Ali, who holds a PhD in astrophysics from the University of Leicester in England, if a 1 millimeter black hole suddenly appears on Earth's surface, it would still have immense gravitational forces that can affect almost a third of the entire planet. This means that everything within the reach of the black hole's influence would be subjected to its gravitational pull. Assuming the black hole appears on Earth's surface, its sphere of influence would have a radius of about a third of the Earth's radius, Ali wrote to Quora. All the matter in that region would feel a stronger gravity from the black hole than from the Earth. The astrophysicist then added that the black hole appeared with a velocity of about 27,000 miles per hour. It will travel across Earth carrying a sphere of influence. Ali noted that as a black hole rampages across the planet, it would kill off every living creature on Earth's surface. In addition, it will consume Earth's materials until the planet is completely destroyed. If the black hole appears on the surface with a relative velocity of less than 12 kilometers a second, it will orbit the Earth along with its sphere of influence, Ali explained. That means the destruction of Earth's crust and most of its mantle, and the death of everything living on its surface. Why that suddenly popped up there? Hold on a second. It says a significant fraction of the Earth's mass becomes available food to be accredited by the black hole, he added. So there's a picture. I could have used that one, you know, but I thought the one that I had was a little bit more appealing. So if you guys want to read more on this, or are interested in black holes, I thought you guys might think that that was interesting. But I mean, imagine that, like, if that happened and then everything was just sucked into an abyss of darkness and everything was devoured into a black hole, that would be freaking insane. So this article is crazy, because I talk about crime that's happened. I talk just about everything, but I'll say this: there's been videos that have been going all around the internet and posting pictures of like a white van, a blue van that has locks on the back door. It's like a cargo van. Has locks on the back door and on the side doors, and they'd actually done an inspection of one, and they found out that they were used for human trafficking. So if you see any of those, especially women out there, be careful. Call the police if any of those types of vehicles approach you. I mean, they're not hard to spot. I mean, the windows are all covered up. Looks like a utility van or a work van. It's got huge locks on the back passenger door and the rear doors. So this says, man stops mother on Queen Street, demands he give her 10-month-old child. Give him her 10-month-old child. So this is out of New York. Man, these stupid things, they weren't popping up earlier. Now they're popping up on damn everything that I'm reading here. It says police are looking for a man who allegedly harassed a mother in Queens on Thursday. It said the incident happened around 8:30 p.m. near 43rd Avenue and 111th Street. It said according to police, a 29-year-old woman was pushing her 10-month-old child in a stroller when an unknown man placed his hand on the stroller. The man then allegedly demanded the woman to give him her child. The woman refused and resisted the man's efforts, and the man ran off. Police have released surveillance video showing the man at a business after the incident. It says anyone who has information regarding this incident is asked to call the NYPD's Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-8477 or for Spanish 1-888-577-4782. And then you can also send tips to NYPD Tips on Twitter, or you can submit them online at nypdcrimestoppers.com. And I had the picture up here. Hang on a second, I can't play video. Nah, it's not gonna play it. But like I said, I always post the articles in the description below, and you guys can go back and you can look this up. It has the information for the contacts, how you contact them, and then I'm sure if you're in this area, Queens, then this is probably all over the news already, so you guys can check that out there. So this is crazy here. This I don't think it was I think this was just caused from like a beef with some dudes. I don't think it was like intended for someone just to go in and go at everybody like a lot of these things happen. But I think it's just a confrontation that went a little sideways. But it says at least 6 people shot at a party in a warehouse district in downtown Los Angeles. It's just crazy, man. Like, I don't know what happened to, fighting with your fist. Like, why does everybody got to pull a pistol on everybody? To me, that's being a coward. But it says at least 6 people were shot at a party in a warehouse district in downtown Los Angeles, and especially because some of the idiots that pull these firearms don't aim, don't aim the firearm, but sit there and just shoot it wildly into a crowd and then end up wounding a whole bunch of people, which is ridiculous. Leave the damn pistol at the house, man. I don't get it. Fight with your fist. If you really got to beef that bad, fight. Don't pull a pistol out. But first and foremost, try to avoid it. But in this day and age, in this society, everybody wants to play Mr. Tough Guy and try to assault one another and shoot everybody for stripes, street cred, whatever you want to call it. Gets no respect in my book. That's coward. It says a shooting occurred about 1:15 a.m. in the 1100 block of 11th Street, police said. It said there was an argument that happened at a party. A fight ensued and the suspect produced a handgun, said Los Angeles police officer Mike Lopez. 6 people were shot, 3 men and 3 women. He said all 6 victims were taken to a local hospital for treatment and one of them in critical condition. The gunman remains at large. James Mahomes, 58, said he was lying under a tarp nearby when he heard gunshots. Mahomes said he heard 3 or 4 popping sounds followed by the screeching of tires and people screaming "Go, go, go!" They were saying, "Open that gate, open that door." The shooting occurred at or near a building with the name DJ Lights and a sound in a heavily industrial street lined with warehouses and car stereo businesses. Video recorded by NBC4 showed a chaotic scene with dozens of partygoers standing ground as paramedics and police responded. Investigators remained on the scene early Sunday morning, gathering evidence. This is why people want to take law-abiding citizens' firearms, because you morons keep acting like morons. A few idiots ruin it for the majority of law-abiding citizens. You got idiots out here running around shooting randomly into crowds because their butt hurt. Get over it. Says New York man in military gear, 28, surrenders after a 7-hour standoff with police. So this was also out of New York. I should have done those together instead of going back and forth. But it says a New York man wearing military gear who barricaded himself inside a home after a dispute with his wife and then posted updates on social media surrendered Saturday night after a 7-hour standoff, authorities said. Comments from Instagram followers only made the situation worse, police said, according to News 12 in Westchester County, north of New York City. It says this is a person in crisis, having mental illness, having issues. He didn't need the people on social media telling him that his rights were being violated, Chief Michael Kazari of the Carmel Police Department told the station. He needed help, medical help. Police were called to the scene in Mopac, part of Carmel, in Putnam County, around 2 p.m., WNBC-TV of New York City reported. Sources told the station the suspect suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, though it was unclear whether he had served overseas. Negotiators were aware of the suspect's mental condition as they tried to convince him to surrender. Said the suspect ultimately surrendered peacefully around 9:30 p.m., News 12 reported. So that's a good end that way. As far as I understand, firearms are illegal, and I lived in New York for a little while, but too many people for me. But as far as I knew, you couldn't have firearms in New York. Maybe it's just parts of New York, maybe it's just, the city. I don't know. I thought this article, I'm just reading these short ones, but this one's pretty awesome, and I'm proud of this lady. Dude got what he deserved, definitely. It says female bodybuilder, 82, fights home intruder. He picked the wrong house, she was quoted saying. He says the 82-year-old female bodybuilder fought back against the man who broke in her home on Thursday night as she was getting ready for bed, using her daily workout regimen and various household items to overwhelm the intruder. Willie Murphy, who attends the Maplewood YMCA in Rochester, New York on a daily basis, was getting ready for bed around 11 p.m. when a man started banging on the door asking for an ambulance while declaring, "I'm sick, I'm sick." It said Murphy called the police and wouldn't let him in, which she says angered the man. Check this lady out, man. It says, "I'm alone and I'm old, but guess what? I'm tough." So there's another picture on here that shows their guns. It says, "I hear a loud noise," she told WHAM TV or WHAM TV. "I'm thinking, what the heck was that? The young man is in my home. He broke the door." The award-winning bodybuilder told the outlet she hid under the cover of night, picking up the nearest object as the thief crept through her home. "I picked up the table and I went to work on him," said Murphy, who can deadlift 225 pounds. The table broke, and when he's down, she added, "I'm jumping on him." After the table dropped, Murphy grabbed a nearby bottle of shampoo and went to town. Said, "I grabbed the shampoo," she told WHAM TV, "and guess what? He's still on the ground, in his face, all that, the whole thing." Look at her guns. 82 years old, look at them guns. She then grabbed a nearby broom and swept the floor with the unknown suspect. "I got the broom," she said. "He's pulling the broom. I'm hitting him with the broom." And when officers arrived, Murphy says the first responders wanted to take selfies with her and even received a hero's welcome when returning to her local YMCA. He picked the wrong house to break into. Good for her. Dumbass criminals. I bet you're gonna be a laugh of your you're gonna be somebody's you know what inside that jail. Got an 82-year-old woman put the whooping on you, man. Now this article, I said some of the articles I was gonna read are nasty. I only have 2 more after this, but some of the articles I said were nasty, and this one, it's not as nasty as the other one I read the other day about the poo bricks. If you guys want to listen to that, go back and listen to the last podcast I did about the girls in Philippines that make reusable bricks out of poo and concrete. This one says Florida man spits half-eaten food into a woman's mouth during road rage incident. Boy, I would have been in jail. I would have been in jail for sure. It says Florida man spits half-eaten food in a woman's mouth during road rage incident. First of all, you're a man. If you get road rage on a woman, you're a freaking coward. But Florida man headlines are the thing. So it says Florida man has been charged after he spat his half-eaten food into a woman's mouth during a road rage incident. I mean, I'm laughing kind of, because who spits food in a person's mouth? Like, who does that? It says David Paul Whipperman, 61, was arrested on Thursday on charges stemming from an incident last month, according to, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. According to arrest affidavit by Sheriff's Office, Whipperman got into a road rage incident with a woman around 5:40 p.m. on October 29th. The Tampa Bay Times reported. During the incident, he got out of a Chevy truck and approached the woman who was driving a Kia sedan. So a little woman driving a little car, and this 61-year-old coward gets out and approaches her vehicle. I mean, dude, if that was my mother, I'd been in jail. If it was me, if you'd have spit your food in my mouth, no, I'd have laid hands on you. And I'm not talking about praying. But it says, according to the Times, the woman had rolled down her window and apologized to Whipperman for her part. So she even tried to apologize for the incident, but he responded by spitting the food he had been chewing at the woman. And that's what she said in a quote. It says, "The food struck the victim in the face and entered her mouth," the arrest report said, according to the Times. It says Whipperman then opened the driver's door of the Kia and screamed. So not only was just spitting food in this poor lady's mouth in her small little car, you had to get out of your car, pull her car door open, and then point your finger in her face and yell at her. So, dude, seriously, what is wrong with people? This is according to the arrest report. Whipperman went on to commit a burglary, but it's not clear if that charge was related to the woman in the Kia sedan, or if he is accused of stealing from somewhere else. The road rage incident occurred in Pinellas County, but the exact location was redacted from the arrest report, according to the Times, and it was not clear why it took so long for the arrest to be made. Newsweek has contacted Pinellas County Sheriff's Office for a comment. Like I said, if that was my mother or my wife, I'm just going to leave it at that. But you got your ass whipped. I don't care how old you are, 61 years old or not, you spit food in my mouth, or my wife's mouth, or rip her car door open, or whatever. Yeah. So this is amazing right here. So that's why I want to share this. This is just one of those weird articles that, you know, people tend to just overlook or ignore, but I wanted to share this because I think it's cool. I used to, I have a cert in non-destructive inspection. So, you know, I've worked on engine parts from Cessna aircrafts, single engine aircrafts, and I found this article, and it's pretty astonishing once you see that picture down there. It says pilot walks away uninjured after plane gets caught upside down in power lines. So look at the picture here. It's like dangling there. Dangling by a thread, by a wire. It says a single-engine Piper Cub propeller plane that became entangled with power lines in Louisville Township, Minnesota on Saturday. That would have been scary. It says pilot walked away uninjured after crashing a single-engine propeller plane into power lines in Louisville Township, Minnesota on Saturday, police say. The Piper Cub plane, which had been traveling south, apparently collided with the power lines, became entangled, and was suspended upside down on a guideline, according to the initial investigation, the Scotts County Sheriff's Office said. The Sheriff's Office received a report about the crash, which took place south of Shakopee, Minnesota, around 3:57 p.m. And it says the power line was deactivated, and the pilot, 65-year-old Shakopee resident Thomas Kaskovich, was freed from the plane. Kaskovich, the only person on board, was not hurt. Scott County Sheriff Luke Hennon said the situation could have turned out much worse. We are grateful the pilot was able to walk away without any injuries, Hennon said. It says the Federal Aviation Administration is investigating that incident. And there's a picture of the fire truck there with the fire department. And yeah, it's just dangling upside down. That's insane. I wonder if the people in that house in the background there called for the poor fella. But yeah, that was just one that popped up in one of the strange articles that I found. I bet he had to change his pants after that, but it's crazy. So the next article was, you know, on the thumbnail, and I think this is so crazy because science is just getting out there. So I know, like, just from reading this article, and then, you know, I read a little bit of more articles that have to do with Reanimated. I guess they've been doing the Reanimated, like pig brains and different stuff like that for a long time. Well, Now it says the doctors have officially frozen a reanimated human being for the first time. So it says one of the biggest problems with exploring the furthest reaches of space is the sheer timescale involved without a breakthrough in physics that would allow human beings to enter a state of suspended animation or faster than light travel. It wouldn't be possible. It says, but now it looks like doctors have made progress with actually freezing and reviving human beings. Samuel Tischerman, a professor at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, has led a team that has actually put a human being into suspended animation, according to the Daily Star. It says Tischerman told New Scientist that he replaced humans' blood with ice-cold saline solution. He called the whole ordeal a little surreal. The patient was then removed from the cooling system and taken to an operating theater for a 2-hour surgical procedure before having their blood restored and their body warmed back up to its normal temperature. This is just crazy. It says Tischerman says he's going to be producing a full account of the procedure in a new scientific paper that will be released in 2020. He aims to pause a life long enough to perform emergency surgery rather than use technology for space travel. He recalled the story of a young man who, after being stabbed, didn't have enough time to make it to surgery. He was a healthy young man. Just minutes before, he suddenly was dead. He says we could have saved him if we had enough time. I want to make clear that we are not trying to send people off to Saturn. We are trying to buy ourselves more time to save lives. He says, but of course, it's only a matter of time until everybody's favorite, quote, I can keep my nose out of anyone's achievements, and if you don't believe me, ask Vernon Unsworth. Tech entrepreneur will weigh in on the issue and undoubtedly comment on how it can be used for space travel and further his own PR agenda. So that's a picture out of, a movie or a video game there, but I think it's insane, we're getting to the point to where we can freeze human beings and do, all that type of stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it for tonight. So if you guys are listening to this on a podcast, or if you're just viewing this on YouTube, a lot of people are afraid, like, especially, I just started this channel, I think October the 18th of this year. So it's very small. I don't have a lot of subscribers. And I pretty much just hang out and read, like, crazy stuff. But come December the 10th, a lot of small channels may lose, their channel because of, the new terms of service that YouTube's doing. So I was going to tell you, if you go to the About section of my YouTube page, I have on the bottom all my links. I stream this, like tonight I'm streaming it on Periscope, which I very seldomly do. But I have, my OBS and stuff is hooked to Periscope, Facebook, DLive, Twitch, and of course YouTube. But if you go to the About section, you can find all the podcasts on there, all the links to the podcast, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Spreaker, and I just added a new one I was going to tell you guys about. It's Anchor, and I'm on Anchor. I am monetized on those. I'm not monetized on here. So I just added that link on there. The Twitter link's on there. My website link is on there. Everything that I talk about, the videos are linked on the website. So everything is together. So if this crashes for any crazy reason, and I don't, not a lot of people view while I stream live on YouTube, because, like I said, I'm new, or I'm new at this. But a lot of people listen to the podcast, so you can follow the Kingsman Report on Twitter under the Kingsman Report Rep 1, on Facebook under the Kingsman Report, and then it's under the Kingsman Report on every streaming service and podcast service you can think of: Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of them. You can also email me information at kingsmanreport2019@gmail.com. And as always, there's a chat running if you decide you want to tune in. It's at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then I'm off. I take Saturday off from doing anything, and then I'm back on Sunday. So I guess Sunday through Friday. So if you guys tuned in, I appreciate it. If you're watching this video later on, I appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like it if you find some of this news just weird and crazy. I pretty much just hang out and do it. You know, I'm in the process of changing all this back here, so you know, you won't be looking at, you know, at the stuff behind me. But if you guys tuned in, I appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. I think it was on, yeah, for about an hour, 15 minutes. So until next time I stream again, Yah bless and shalom.